Okay, so before we run out of time for the first session, I was trying to say that if in your code you make print to be equal to 2, and then you still come down and say print, and then you print normally the way you do, right? This is
Mm.
a string. Normally, if this line happened, this print will be stored in the global namespace because I did an assignment. Whenever I use the equal to in Python, it's an assignment operator. You're assigning what is on the right hand side to the left. So I'm assigning 2 to print. So in this global namespace, there will now be two um, variables are defined. There will be A and there will be print, right? When your Python now starts running and you come to line 38 and say print, Python will naturally assume it starts searching from inside out. So at this level now, it will check global to check what print means. And at this point, it's going to find out that print is 2. So when you now try to do this line, it won't work anymore, right? It won't
Yeah.
work
Yes.
anymore because print has a different meaning in the global namespace. But for
Yes.
instance, if you don't do this, and let's just say it's a comment, you can try all these things out to you see. Let's say it's a comment, and there's no print in this namespace. It will know when it checks the global, it will not resolve print. It will know what print is. It will jump to the built-in. In the built-in, it will find out what, oh, there's print there. Then it's from here, it will know what to do when it sees print. Do you get? So that way
Yes.
now,
All right.
this is the reason why in Python they'll tell you when you're naming your variables, avoid Python keywords. Okay.
Okay.
In the earlier chapter, you say they don't use it to name your variables because there'll be conflict.
All right.
There was once I was just doing some coding and I named the variable sum. And then still again, I wanted to call the function sum. I was not getting the wrong answer. Why was it happening? Because in my code, I named it a variable
So
sum, which is wrong.
you
And I was debugging and debugging before I found out. So, but that was got a lack of understanding of the namespaces, what's happening. Then another one we have is the enclosed namespace. Enclosed namespace. And then I'll also at the same time talk about the local namespace. But these ones now, I'll also kind of not dwell much on them. I'll reserve them because you've not yet learned things like functions. So if I go into global and enclosed, it might not be clear so much. But there are functions you define at a point in your Python. This thing, you start writing functions. When you start writing functions, you will declare some variables inside of some functions. Those ones will be called local. Then if in that same function you define another function, then the higher level will be enclosed and the most innermost level will be local. But like I said, because we are not citing functions, just these ones now, we'll just maybe know that they exist, but later you understand them more. What you deal in mostly is now going to be the built-in and the global namespace. So just for you to appreciate the reason why sometimes when you put some keyword, it works is because it exists in Python global built-in namespace. Then anything you define in your code in the main level this way, like assigning variable, they're going to be in the global. When you now get into functions, you now talk about local and the rest. So um, when Python is resolving, it uses this rule. They call it LEGB. So it resolves from the local before enclosed, global before built-in. Okay. So that's why, like I explained earlier, don't use a keyword so you don't confuse Python. If you get confused, that's the way it functions. Now, there are
Okay.
cases. Any question?
Yeah, there's something I just wanted to, sorry to drag you back. Can you just please highlight the include names just one more time? Sorry for dragging
Highlight
you.
what?
The enclosed namescape. Is
Okay,
it names? Sorry, namespace.
namespace. Everything we are doing is namespace. All of them are namespaces. Now,
Names.
I will not go to highlight it. And I said the reason why I will not do that is you've not learnt functions.
Function.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Mhm.
I
So
I only know the local.
yeah, I just wrote it for you to be
All right.
aware at this point. Maybe try not to forget when we reach the chapter where we deal with functions, we'll talk about it again.
All right.
And that time it will make more sense because if I start explaining now, as far as you've not seen how function is, it will be difficult to understand
Confusing.
the other one. We can't even do examples at this stage.
All right.
So, but just for you to know that there is what we call namespaces in Python. Namespaces are like libraries in Python, right? In this library, Python keeps some tools. We have the built-in library, which we printed it out. It keeps these tools. When you run your program, if I go now and do the same print for global, you will not see anything global because this shell does not have this global. Okay, but if we now begin to run something, then it will open up this library. Then it will store what we newly defined here, and there could be conflicts which I explained. So right now, what you are working with is just these two. This one you will see it later. It's not a hard thing, but maybe you can just keep this in memory. LEGB, local enclosed global built-in resolves that way. It will still come clearer as we go on. So now, why I'm bringing this is also because there are some keywords that cannot or are not found in the built-in namespace. But from time to time in your work, you need to do certain things. Okay. So that is where we now start importing. We now start what? Importing. Okay. Now in Python, we import other libraries. For instance, if you want to do machine learning, there are libraries that people have written for machine learning. They are not in this global or built-in namespace. They don't exist there. So some of the keywords they use, you cannot use it now until you import another library to add to your Python space when it's running. Okay, so and how do we import in Python? We use a keyword. We can say import maths, for instance. Maths is a module that deals with mathematical things like cosine, tangent, pi, floor. You know, I talked about floor, right? Square root.
Yeah.
So there are some keywords in this thing. So let's just check it out. Now, you see, I'm always going to Google because for you to be a good programmer, Google is your friend. And I'm going to say maths, Python, maths library. Okay. Now I check it from W3 Schools. This is a documentation, everything is there, but I just go here because it's just simplified. Now you can see this, right? The Python maths module or library contains all of this. So these are different methods that exist in the library. All of them. Now, normally you may need one of these things in your work, but it's not there in the built-in namespace, right?
Global.
So, yeah, global are what you define in your code as you run it, your own code, right?
Okay.
But the ones that come in before your code start running, one, that built-in, it doesn't have, like if you see earlier, we talked about maths.floor, right?
Yes.
And then you still see maths.ceil is still there. Log. Sorry?
Sorry. Go on.
Someone said square roots. Look at this. Can you see that? Maths
Yes.
dot square root. Okay, I just took you here because you can, if in case you want to check if something exists in the maths library, you can always come here and check it out. Go back to Visual Studio Code. So now, when I say import maths, what this does, it lifts all of this, all of them come into my code. Once I do this, all of them comes into my code. Excuse me. So at this point now, I can now do maths of
Oh,
square root, and then I say
okay.
square root of 4. If I then say print it, if I print it, if I print it, you then see the answer. But if you then come and say, oh, you remove this line, when you run it, you see the Visual Studio Code is already telling us he doesn't know what math is again, because I changed the import to comment. If you run it like this, even Python does not understand this thing anymore because it's not in its own library. You have to import another module to get it there. Okay. But now this is the thing. In all our works we are doing at this stage, this type of importation is okay. It doesn't have a problem, right? But if you just think a step further, it's a kind of heavy load you carried. Because I want to use only square roots, but I lifted all these things into my code, all of them. So in terms of running, before my code will run, if you're interpreting it step by step, you find out that Python will load this built-in namespace and then import this one into the built-in namespace. When it is doing that, it will take time. It is very fast. Okay. You cannot appreciate it with your physical observation because the code we are dealing with is very small. Okay, so it will just happen within split seconds. But what happens is when it loads this one, it goes and bring maths and load. So just imagine you're taking all those package from maths. It's a number, right? Now, a more efficient way to do it is another way to import something. Now say from maths, import. Now, this is another way you can import. This is one way of running an import statement. In fact, let me put it before the example. So now, let me put it here. So now, this second way now, I am not importing all of maths. I just go into math and import one of the function, right? And I use it. So if I make this one a comment, no,
Still recognize it.
no, it will still recognize it. This one becomes a comment. But you see now, whenever you use this statement, you no longer need math. You then take it direct square root. Because I have brought in this square root direct into my code. This is more efficient. Like I said, using either of them at this stage doesn't matter. Whether you use this one or this one, it doesn't matter. But in the long run, this is more efficient. In the long run simply means if you're dealing with a huge code base, right, where you've written an application and there are so many things involved, so many files are involved, they try to avoid just importing a library this way. In fact, there are some libraries on their own, they are heavy. This math is a small library. There are some libraries that are still heavy. Many things it comes with. So you don't want to always be importing everything into your code as much as you can. When you know what you want to use is only square root, then you do this one. Just take square root. This is lighter. Okay, just like common sense. You know that by the time I brought only square root, I did not bring all the brothers. In math, there are many brothers, many people in their family. I just called one of them square root and use it in my code. This is more efficient. Okay, does anybody have any question with this?
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
All we know is disturbing us.
Okay, I'm muting. So this little understanding now just give you that, oh, there are different libraries I can bring that will bring to me different um different keywords to add to the built-in namespace that already existed. So, but before now, you were just doing things and you didn't know that, oh, they were there. They came from somewhere. Anything that is not here will generate error. When you bring this one, you can now do much more. So with this now, importing different modules can then make your Python to do much more. Okay? Like people that are going to also do data analysis, they'll import NumPy. They'll import NumPy. You see something like that. You can do imports. I think, yeah. Or data frames. You get. So all
Pandas.
those pandas, you can bring pandas as PD.
Matplotlib.
Yeah, matplotlib, yeah. So there are matplotlib for plotting, right? There are many
Yeah.
other libraries
Visualization.
for visualization you can bring in, to do your work. But just know there are two ways to bring them. You can bring the whole package or bring just what you want, depending on what you're doing. At this stage, anyone, if I bring everything, it doesn't even matter. Your codes are very small. But when it gets big, then there will be a difference. Just know that that is the difference. But anyone you use at any given point in time now is allowed. Okay, so let's look at the book again. See if there's anything we've not covered. So, okay, I'll come to order of operation. Now, the same vein, you see, this is a library, random. Okay, random is a library. It contains many other things. I think in this example, they just imported rand int. Now, always, if you come to Google and say, for instance, random library Python. Any library, you could just come here and check it. You see, the methods that are in random, look at them. They are not so much. And they do different things. You see their descriptions here. Okay, rand int, which was using the text, it usually brings an integer between two numbers. Maybe you can say between 1 and 10. Randomly guess an integer it will bring for you. So maybe if you're writing a small application for a lottery, in a lottery, you put in numbers and then mix it and pick one randomly. Randint can help your code do that just randomly. So you can have random choice from a given, you can shuffle, sample, and there are different methods in this library. So are other libraries too. Okay. So at least we've gone through that, the mass function. Yeah, of course, there are still some of this math function that are built in. You can see some of them. You could use them without even calling maths. Okay. So I think that's all for this chapter. Then this is another way to get out like directory the libraries and see what after importing them you can then carry out this directory on them to see what they contain, which is what we saw on the website of W3 School. Does anyone have any question?
Please, can we get access to the audio record?
Yeah, after every class, we usually share it on our WhatsApp channel.
She just joined today, I guess.
And I think she has been there. Are you just joining today?
Yes, sir.
Ah, okay, sorry. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm also new too.
Who is
But
speaking?
can we get access to the
Peter.
previous class?
Okay.
Right.
I think you should be able to get access. Let me check something.
Okay.
YouTube. So if you come to our YouTube page, I think it's LHI Dev, right? When you come here, you can check the playlist. Let me see. Now you can see playlist Python. Okay. If you click on
Okay.
it, no, just don't play this, but you can see the playlists. There are about 9 videos. So you could just follow them. Introduction 1, introduction 2, then introduction continue 1, continue 2, continue 3. These are different classes we've held. Then we talk about JIT part 1, part 2, part 3, JIT and for loop, right? So today's own, I'll title it with the same title of the chapter, which is numbers. And then the video will be stored here. So you can just come to our channel and you can also subscribe so that whenever we add a new video, maybe you receive notification.
Notification. Okay.
Yeah. So all the videos are there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? So next, we are going to get into the exercises. Now, this thing is going to get tougher. Those who have not been doing the exercises, you begin to get lost. Okay, you're missing out. And this exercise will not only deal with what we just discussed in this chapter. Of course, you will still read it before you do. Read it too. Read everything before you get to solve it. But it's going to start combining your knowledge so far from chapter 1 to chapter 3, and also the next chapter. That's how it is. Now, the goal, so that you don't get stuck, is not that you must solve every question you're seeing. Are you with me? Because some people will just be trying to solve everything. It's good though, if you have time. Now, at least if you can do 10, it's okay. Do as much as you can, but at least 10.
Hello, sir. Sorry. I want to ask, I joined today, but I got the material from a friend who has already enrolled in this learning session. So I was able to go through the material, although I have some understanding on Python to some extent. I use it for data analysis. I was able to complete some of the tasks. I wanted to ask rather, how do I submit the assignments?
Okay, so we in our video now talking about introduction to JIT. What we have decided, or what I've advised that everybody does, is open a GitHub account. Do you have one?
Yeah, I have a GitHub account.
Great. So now you create a repository for this learning. Now in your repository, you from time to time, when you do work, you commit your codes and push them to the repository. Then you share the repository with me as a collaborator so I can look at your codes. Okay, that's how we submit. So you don't just bring it now. And then I'll be going through people's codes to know who is really following. You get? And I must say at a point, we are now going to migrate into using what's the name again? We'll use Slack. And at that point, only those that are following will come to that side, because we are still going to do like some kind of sorting. Okay, because if we don't sort the class, you see that some people will be dragging the class back. Everything we are doing here, we have a target. We are trying to move us to a point where you can even use Python to get a job. Okay? But for
Okay.
it to get to that point, you have to develop. All
More
these things we
effort.
are saying, having to use GitHub and store your code. When you get a job, they will just add you as a collaborator to their code base. Of course, they'll have their system, how things operate. You can't just merge your code directly. You know, they'll review it and everything. But that's how standard work is done. Okay, nobody will be sharing code by email or something. You just go to your repository and look at it. If I want to download it, I download it. If I have the permission, because we can restrict this thing, I view it. I can also make comments, tell you, okay, improve this area. So all those things we'll be doing small. It's just to make our learning feel a little bit like the standard work environment. That is why we're also going to introduce Slack. Because when we introduce Slack, most organizations use tools like that to collaborate. Slack is almost like, even if you know what Microsoft Teams is, but Slack is more of in the tech environment. Microsoft Teams is still something most companies use that work remotely. You hold your meetings there. But Slack now, more of, we collaborate, we discuss in that channel. We will not be using WhatsApp. Okay. So I'm just
Okay.
saying this so that if you're not, trying to be serious, please, we don't want anybody to be left behind. We want all of us to move. Okay. Because if you don't
Okay.
move that way, the class now, some people are coming today, you're welcome. But at a point, we will not just be allowing people to come again, right? Not like I'm sounding very
Now,
harsh.
please, when is it only on Sundays that we have this class? What's the time?
Yeah, we have it on Sundays, Nigerian time, 6 p.m.
Okay, once a week.
once a week. So you now use the rest of the week to be
Reading.
doing the exercises, reading
Oh,
and doing
okay.
the exercise, so that when you come, you will now have something you can solve
The discussion.
a
Okay.
discussion. Yeah, the discussion will be lively, not just me
Oh,
talking. People now will be bringing challenges. Oh,
contributing.
I did like this, I suffered like this, and I got like that. Is the thing we are trying to do. Not just, it's not a class of just sit down and be
Listen.
listening. No, like
Okay.
as I was doing today, see, there's something I forgot. Somebody was even throwing, do it like this. That's how we want the class to be.
Wonderful.
And
It's okay.
and in programming, it's not a field where you are expected to just know everything at every given point in time. That's why you see I jump to Google every time. I'm showing you that's how it is in real life. There's almost no programmer that doesn't Google out one or two things. But with time,
Get used to
having
it.
understanding of, oh, this is how you import. You don't need to go and Google, oh, how do I import? Right? You don't need to Google,
Yes.
how do I print? Those are like basic things, and some more, most of what we learn in this course, with time, they will just become part of you. But then there are still some things that you may not be working with. Somebody might be in data science, you will not know what those in machine learning are doing somehow, right? Python
Mm.
is like that, and then it goes broad. We are all in the narrow way now. We must all know the foundation. After the foundation, when we get to chapter 14,
Divert.
not divert. Okay, after chapter 14, we hope to give you some other key software development understanding, data structures, and algorithm, right? Then you can now
Okay.
divert. Some people can go to back end using things like Flask and Django, those frameworks. And that person now can say, oh, I want to go and start doing data analysis. You can go the way of using pandas, NumPy, and the rest to do his thing. Yeah, but all of us will start from the narrow way of understanding the foundation.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen someone who did some data science courses, but he never had the foundation of Python. He finished his data science courses. In the end of the day, he was writing code, but he didn't understand some of these things. When we came back to the foundation,
Basics.
went through the basic with him, the guy now said, he now appreciated what he was doing in data science more. Before, it was more like, okay, how do I get this one? Let me put this code together. And when you have the understanding, you can rearrange it. You understand what I'm saying? When you have the foundation, it becomes far easier for you. Okay. So I'm happy really
Nice.
the fact that some people are doing the exercises. I believe it's everybody anyway. But now, please let us see your GitHub. Then if maybe there's a reason you couldn't do it, let me know. Okay. Someone said that his computer had a
Okay.
problem.
I
It's
think
a normal understanding, happens.
okay.
Go
The
ahead.
challenge is pushing it to the Git
Git.
after I've done this thing, the
Okay.
assignment. I'm still
Mm.
having challenge here. How do I now put
Check the
it
video
into?
too. Check the video too on that gate. You see how to share it.
Okay, which
Let's
of the
also do
video?
something. Let's also do something. Let's
Git.
look at my screen also. It's in the video, but don't look at my screen now. Everything I did
Okay,
today, I created a new file. If you observe, you see there are some files here that have you. Okay. You just know that these ones are, what does U stand for those that have maybe understand the JIT more? Let's see.
You've not committed it.
No, it's U has a meaning. I want to see who has been doing it. Because anytime I do a new file into, this is a folder I'm using to just be doing all this teaching. And then each class I just create a new file and then we talk roughly like this. But you see some files now, U is on track. Okay.
okay.
So you can just do this status. Sorry, I put what I'm not supposed to put hash. Right? Now you see that there is untracked files. Here now there are 3 U's and you see they showed that JIT does not know them. My JIT, they are new to it. I've not put them. Okay, now let's say I've worked on num.py, right? The other ones I don't want to commit them now, and I can then use JIT add. So use JIT add to bring your file into JIT. These files are not there yet. Even when you make a modification, you also need to JIT add it. So when you're doing JIT add, if you do JIT add dot, if I do this now to add the 3 of them and any modifications that exist. But let's say no, I don't want to add the 3 of them. I only want to add num.py. So I go JIT add num.py. I'm only going to add this file now, right? So likewise, if you go to chapter 3 and start chapter 3 exercise, it's expected that you will create a new file for solving chapter 3. You will then also have to add that file. Even anytime you make a modification, you can add it. You can even go as far as every question one file. It's okay. You can how you want to arrange your work. When you hit JIT add,
Okay.
you now check again the status. You see now,
One
these
of
files
them.
remain on track because I did not add them. I only added this one.
One.
If
Okay.
you check here, it now has an A. Okay, JIT is saying I've added it. These 2. I don't just want to work on those 2 now, but let's just say this one, today's class now, is added like that. Okay. Remember, if you want to add all, you do dot. Now, even if you modify a file that is already added, let me just go and modify this day 2. Let me just say I now come and do this. I just put some hashes and I save the file. You see what came there?
Modify.
And modify. So immediately JIT know that this file has changed status. The modifier is tracking it for me. If I check my JIT status, you see it tracked it. Now there's a file that was modified. There's a file that was added recently, right?
Yeah.
Now this one is red, is modified. This also on track also is modified. If I want to take this modification in, I will also do JIT add and bring this file again to add the recent thing. So let's say you modified your file, you can then do JIT add, put that file name. And then check this status. Now I've added 2 files. Okay. let's say, oh,
Mm.
I made a mistake and added this file, this day too. You can see this command is already here, git restore, state, then the file name. So I use it, git restore, paste, and day two. Then I check my git status again to see what happened. You see, I removed it. You get? I added it, I
Yeah.
removed it. So if maybe I wanted to deal with this file or mistakenly I did git add all, and I say, oh no, I want to commit my files one by one so that I will give them the commit messages. I can do that. Okay, all these things now I'm doing. When you begin to work on your own git, what I expect is some of you will make mistakes, or even your commit statement say, no, I made a mistake. This is not how I want the title I wanted to give it. It has happened. What can I do to resolve the situation? Or maybe I added all the files. I wanted to add just one. What do I do to resolve? That way now you now begin to learn when you're using it. That's the expectation. I mean, and even without calling anybody, all these things, you can just go to Google and type, oh, I made a mistake in my commit message. How can I correct it? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm emphasizing that going
Why
to
don't we
Google.
just
Go ahead. Whoever is speaking.
say, sorry, I said, why don't they just go learn Git? Because they're just, I know this commands you use to push and maintain your code from your VS Code, like how you used to push them.
Mhm.
They can as well just
I'm not hearing you.
Okay. I think he's trying to say,
on YouTube that it would help them understand these commands. Internet
yeah.
was unstable, sorry. So I was saying
Same thing.
they learn Git completely because I took a 3-hour course, although it wasn't sufficient because I still at some extent I saw some people using various commands which I wasn't so familiar with. But thank God for books. I made some of my references to the books, so I was able to understand when I want to make a reference to a particular command which I don't know. So I just make reference to the book on Git, and it helped. So it's best to take a course on Git, or you help teach us.
Okay.
Master,
Thank
thanks.
you. Thank you for that contribution. Yeah. We've actually done a little introduction to Git, right? But I'm appreciating the fact that in this class, there are people that are very fresh to this thing. Okay. You now, it seems like you've done it for a while. You're not totally new and you've got to a level. That's fine. But there are people that are not on that level yet, who are coming, who are taking it step by step, and we're all just moving. So that's why it might seem like, oh, why am I doing all these basic things or stuff? Then again, a time is going to come, even some of all these topics I'm teaching you, I could also just tell them, go to YouTube and be learning everything by yourself. But some people cannot move independently like that. Some can, not everybody. Some people need the guidance. That's why the class is here. If not, everything we are teaching you here already exists on YouTube, bro.
It's on YouTube.
If you go topic by
You're right.
topic, you will see videos. You will watch and watch and watch. Some people learn like that, to be honest. But we appreciate that there is a range of people. Okay.